certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Link today. Currently walking home, we've got Jacob. Jacob, how's it going?
Wonderful. It was supposed to be like 85 today, and it's only 75, so it's really nice.
Also,
I
you've
hope you
got
can hear me okay.
we can hear you just fine. But also, you've got my favorite promo maker in the Schmodown, Jen Kemp. Jen, how's it going?
Good. It's good to be back. I haven't been on Take Three in a really long time, but I used to be here a lot.
Also, here we've got Dylan. Dylan, how's it going?
It's going well. I'm excited to talk about Disney movies. It's really, really hyped.
But with that, before we get into that, as I've decided to start doing, I'm going to reveal what the poll said about our Womcoms one for last week. And it was all over the place because as you can see, none of them stayed in the same position, but they the polls had Crazy Stupid Love, Big Sick, Crazy Rich Asians, Saw Lines Playbook, Long Shot, Always Be My Maybe, Warm Bodies, Watch Your Number, Bridesmaids, Blended, Best Man Holiday, and Think Like a Man. And so it's definitely an eclectic mix-up of what our actual 12 was last week. But also here, as I mentioned on this is a redux of an early episode we did on Disney live actions, which went for almost 3 hours. I read yeah, I was surprised about that when I went back to it. I was like, oh shit.
Contain yourselves, people.
Maybe we'll grab some coffee while I'm at it.
But this is what our top 12 was last time we did Disney live actions. We had Mary Poppins at number 1, Remember the Titans at 2, Pirates of the Caribbean, Crystal of the Black Pearl at 3, Miracle, Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe at 5, National Treasure at 6, Save Miss Banks at 7, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids at 8, Holes at 9, Sky High at 10, Three Musketeers at 11, and Princess Diaries at 12. Will it be similar to that? Who knows? But I'll go to Jacob first. Jacob, what is your first movie you're going to throw out there?
Well, I was thinking about this earlier today, and all I read was live-action Disney. So I decided to show some love to the Disney Channel original movies. And whether this makes it on the list, I just want to bring it up. I mean, I care a little bit because I really like it. But my favorite Disney Channel original movie would have to be Brink. I love Brink. Watched it so much as a child, and now that it's on Disney Plus, still watching it. Still as good as it was then. Best skating movie, period. So Brink is my first nomination.
So Brink is on the board. Jen, what do you say about Brink?
I mean, I absolutely love Brink, Soul Skater, Team Pup and Suds all day, but just because there's already so many live-action Disney movies, I'm going to do the caveat of it's a Disney Channel original movie, so I'm going to pass. But I absolutely love Brink.
Dylan, what do you say about Brink?
Yeah, I love the inclusion of bringing up Disney Channel original movies. I'm a late 90s bloomer, so I actually have never seen Brink. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, but now I just added it to my watch list, so I will be watching it soon, but I got to pass for that reason.
It is the best Disney Channel original movie, so you're in for a treat.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, I also just haven't seen this. I'm definitely trying to make my way through all the Disney Channel movies because I've kind of had a miss about what ones I've actually seen and what ones I haven't. So, but with that, it doesn't make the list. Jen, we go to you for your first nomination.
Well, because I know there's a lot of excellent ones out there that we're probably going to have overlap, I'm going to throw one out that I feel like no one has ever seen, and I really do enjoy this film, and it is on Disney Plus. So this is me just saying, go watch this movie. So it's called Shipwrecked, and there's really the only star in it is Gabriel Byrne, and he plays a villain, and it's freaking amazing. This is like from the era where Disney through the years has done a lot of like swashbuckling kind of films. They did like Treasure Island and Swiss Family Robinson and everything way back, and they kidnapped. And then they get back to it in Pirates of the Caribbean. But this is kind of in that sweet spot in between of like a little bit for the kids, a little bit for the adults. It's really fun. It's a great adventure story with some good kid actors. So definitely go check it out. I doubt anyone's going to vote for this, but I wanted to mention it.
Dylan, what do you say about Shipwrecked?
Yeah, that's another one I haven't seen, but again, I'm adding it to the list. I'm excited to watch it eventually. So,
this is actually one I was going to watch for this because I had a feeling it might have come up. I just didn't have the time. And Jacob, what would you have said about Shipwrecked?
I killed him. But it's basically it's Home Alone with pirates on an island. It's great.
Cool.
But with that, I'm hoping that means he's made its way home, so he'll probably jump back in later.
Right. Oh, there he is now.
But yeah, Jacob, what do you say about Shipwrecked?
What's the movie?
Shipwrecked.
Don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, most likely not.
So,
but yeah, Chris, we are counting it. I actually didn't specify this ahead of time, so yeah, I forgot to do that. But yeah, I'll allow it. But there's a lot out there, so if any make it, who knows? But Dylan, what was your first movie you're going to bring up?
Well, when you put that list of 12 from last time up, I saw there was one there that I really wanted to bring up. Halloween is one of my favorite holidays, and this is a staple that I watch every Halloween, and that is Hocus Pocus. It's just a great movie. It's got a lot of good nostalgia from my childhood. The performances are great. It's got some good creepy moments, also some good family moments, and it's got a cult following that I really appreciate. So that is my pick, Hocus Pocus.
Yeah. But yeah, I didn't have time to rewatch the whole episode to see if this was actually brought up. As I said earlier, it was a really long episode. I only went to find out what the 12 was at the end. But I do know that I hadn't seen this when we did this last time. I have since seen it. I like it, so it's a yes. Jacob, what do you say about Hocus Pocus?
100% yes. When I was making my list earlier, this was one of the first movies that I put on it. Love it. Halloween staple. Watch it every Halloween. Absolute yes for me.
And Jen, what do you say about Hocus Pocus?
Oh yeah, when I was pulling my list together, I was like, okay, how can I not get Hocus Pocus in the top 10? And I was like, I would be a liar if I didn't put it there. So yeah, it is a fantastic film. I love that it is really just grown and more each year. And we're gonna get a sequel, guys. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah. On to me for my first pick. And I'm going to go for one which I have no idea how it's going to go because I know this one is either some people hate it, some people like it. I like the Christopher Robin movie with Ewan McGregor. Look, this is. I mean, growing up, I was one of those ones that I watched Winnie the Pooh all the time. So I mean, for me, when I watched this, it's like this had that same feel for me. It's kind of revisiting these characters, and that just brought back all the nostalgia. This may be more of a nostalgia pick for me, but it's still one that I really enjoy for what it is. And yeah, a lot of people call it a live-action remake. It's not really a remake. It's more of a
continuation
than anything. So yeah, Jacob, what do you say about Christopher Robin?
Man, I like Christopher Robin. I really do. See, when I was making my list, I didn't put them in order, and this one was on the list. I'll say yes. I really enjoyed this. Ewan McGregor gave a good performance, and just seeing all the characters again, it's a nice trip back to the childhood. So I'll say yeah.
Jen, what do you say about Christopher Robin?
Yeah, unfortunately, like I am a huge fan of Winnie the Pooh. If you haven't gone and like actually read the books, they are a delight as an adult as much as they are for children. But I think because of that, the return to a later era of Christopher Robin is a little bit of you can't go home again, and it hits kind of a sour note for me. So as much as I love Ewan McGregor, and like I didn't hate this film, it just didn't quite connect with me, and I haven't really gone and revisited it since.
Which means, Dylan, it's on you. Does Chris Robin make this list?
Yeah, I'm a huge Winnie the Pooh fan too. So like it sucks. I'm gonna have to say no, only because I feel like it's too recent for me to have like that nostalgia for that particular movie, even though the characters definitely had the nostalgia. Like Eeyore is my favorite Disney character, period. I don't know why, but I love him. Yeah, so I have to say no, but like in a few years, maybe it'll be like one of my top 12. But right now it's a no.
But if that, Chris Robin doesn't make this list. And we go back to Jacob.
Oh, well. Might be a boring pick because it was number one last time, but it is still really good for many reasons, and that's Mary Poppins. Yeah, it's just a classic, a great musical. So, yeah, Mary Poppins.
Jen, what do you say about Mary Poppins?
Yeah, it's a little tough just because like now that everyone's kind of seen behind the curtain with Saving Mr. Banks of like, this is not what P.L. Travers was really looking for. But when you kind of think about Disney and what they've become, it actually is a pretty good encapsulation because they take something that is a beloved property and they turn it into something a little bit different, but they definitely put their own signature on it. So for better or worse, it is a very iconic film in the Disney canon. So, and who doesn't love Julie Andrews? Like, and I'm a sucker for the Dick Van Dyke Cockney accent. I know it's terrible, but I do love it still. So I will say yes to Mary Poppins.
Dylan, what do you say about Mary Poppins?
Yeah, I'm looking at my list and I'm thinking about some of the movies that we're going to bring up, and they're all going to be fairly recent. I think a lot of the good ones, at least this century. So I like the idea of having one of the more classic Disney movies on the list. It's got so many timeless songs as well. Like I was never the biggest fan of Mary Poppins growing up, but the songs I was always singing just constantly around the house as a kid. So like it definitely has its impact and its influence. And I think it'd be criminal not to include it on this list. So I'm going to say yes.
And Feed the Birds is Walt Disney's favorite song that they ever did. So that's
go.
just a fun little factoid.
Yeah, this is a supercalifragilisticexpialidocious choice if I ever heard one. But yeah, there's no way I'm saying no. I mean, it's making the list regardless if I say yes or no. But it's a great movie. It's always going to be a classic for a reason. But yeah, Mary Poppins makes the list, and Jen, we go back to you.
Oh man, there's so many. I know I kind of like put a little caveat on Disney Channel original movies, but this one was a Disney Channel show that was a real movie released in theaters, so I think it's got a loophole there. I am going for the Lizzie McGuire movie. This movie, I wasn't even like a huge fan of the show. Like I watched it a little bit, but this movie has no right to be this enjoyable. Like it's actually very well done, and it's a fun little tour of Rome and what a junior high person thinks is like a high school person's dream. So it's just really fun, and this is what dreams are made of. I really love this movie.
Dylan, what do you say about Lizzie McGuire movie?
Yeah, the actual series I think was before my time when I started watching like Disney Channel stuff. But when the movie came out, I remember I was finally old enough to like enjoy it and appreciate it. I'm a big fan of it. I really like it. Out of all like the Disney Channel originals like that have made it to the big screen, I believe there's very few. But like I think this is the best Disney Channel to movie adaptation for sure. So it's a yes from me.
But with that being said, I haven't seen. I remember watching the series. I don't know if I've seen the movie. It's definitely one that I'd be want to revisit. That's ever since I've had Disney Plus. I've just haven't found the time or the reason as yet. But it's definitely on my list to get there. But at this point, I'm just going to say no, just because I'm not too sure if I've seen it. Well, if I have, I haven't seen it recently enough to be able to remember it. But so, Jacob, it's on you. What do you say about the Lizzie McGuire movie?
I liked the series. I wasn't the biggest fan of the movie. It was okay, but it's a no for me. It just wasn't as big.
I fully did not expect it to actually go that far at all. So there you go. I got one vote.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't make the list. Dylan, we go back to you.
Oh wow. So this one is one I didn't know if it would count or not, but since Mary Poppins counted because it has both live action and animated, I'm gonna put this one out there. It's one of my favorite modern musicals, one of my favorite Amy Adams performances, and it is Enchanted. I love this movie so much. I think the animation's great, but the live action stuff is just so clever. It's the repeated fish out of water formula that we see, but it's done just so well. They find new ways to make it fresh and enjoyable. I'm from New York City, so like I love the incorporation of the city and Central Park and the dance numbers. Patrick Dempsey's great in it. James Marsden's great. They couldn't be more different in the movie. I just love every ounce of it. So I got to go with Enchanted.
As I said a couple of weeks ago when we did live action animation hybrids, I still have not seen Enchanted. It has been one that I actually tried to find this week because I knew it was bound to come up. I still have not found it. I still have not seen it. I will eventually see it. Disney Plus, put it on Disney Plus. Hurry up. Jacob, what do you say about Enchanted?
I also have not seen this yet. So I have no opinion on it as of right now.
Unfortunately, it doesn't make the list again. Gene, what would you have said about Enchanted?
I would give it a yes because I was on the fence too of just because I know you guys just did hybrid. So I was like, oh, so maybe it shouldn't be there. But at the same time, it is fantastic. Amy Adams should have gotten an Oscar for that role. She does fantastic. And the only reason they didn't win original song was because they had 3 nominations because it was that good of a score. So, yeah.
But with that, we go back to me for my next pick. I'm going for another live-action remake. That is an actual remake. I'm going for Cinderella. A lot of people say this is one of the best ones. I actually watched this for the first time yesterday because somehow this is one that I kind of missed actually seeing it completely the first time around. But this is just a lovely movie. Like Lily James, Helena Bonham Carter, just all great in this. It's kind of felt like I was watching it, even though they did make slight alterations to the original animated one. But once again, with when you translate into live action, you got to make some changes because not everything's going to translate as well as it can do. But I think this is a perfect redo of the animated Cinderella. So Cinderella is on the table. Jacob, what do you say?
I feel bad because I haven't seen this one either.
Jen, what do you say about Cinderella?
Here's the thing. I agree with you that Cinderella is the best live action remake that they've done. But at the same time, I don't like that they're doing this anyway. So on that note, like I will just say no because it started a chain of this is all we do now and it upsets me. But I do absolutely love Lily James's performance in this. She does a fantastic job and they do add a new level up to it. So congrats to Kenneth Branagh, but at the same time he did Artemis Fowl, so I'm still mad at him.
I'm still mad at him for that as well. Dylan, what would you say about Cinderella?
I probably would have ended up saying no, but I do appreciate the film. I really like the design of it too. I mean, the costumes are just beautiful. The actual, visual scope of the film is great. I mean, Kenneth Branagh, yeah, he brought so much of that Shakespeareanness to the actual image and the visuals. But again, I think it's one of the earlier remakes in this new slew of remakes, so it's kind of gotten lost in the shuffle for me. I need to revisit it, but I do like it, but I would have given it a no as well.
Jacob, what is your next nomination?
I don't know if I want to put this one up now with the live action remake trash talk, but I will anyway because I think this one, because I haven't seen Cinderella, is the best live action remake, and that's The Jungle Book. I thought The Jungle Book was fantastic. I thought it was a well done remake. I liked the characters. And who didn't want to see Christopher Walken as King Louis? Best performance ever. So I'll put Jungle Book up.
Jen, what do you say about The Jungle Book?
Here's the thing. I'm a terrible person, and I know I'm in the minority on this, but I could not stand the child in this film. And granted, I know it is so hard to act to a tennis ball in a completely green screen room, and that is just beyond what you should be asking from, 10 maybe? But it really took me out anytime he had to interact with anything. I think all the voice casting and the actual visual animation, everything, beautiful, gorgeous. Love Idris Elba's Shere Khan. Like, it's great. I couldn't get past the kid. I couldn't do it. so it's a no.
Dylan, what do you say about the Jungle Book?
Yeah, I really like this this movie. I like how it does take the story in a bit of a different direction. Like, it's not the same exact plot. There is other layers added on top of it to make it somewhat different. Whereas like some Disney remakes have been very shot for shot remakes. But I think, like Jen said, the one live action aspect of the movie is probably the weakest. I think the strongest stuff is the stuff that's computer animated and the voice casting and just the direction itself. So I think it's a really good film, but for like live action Disney, I'm gonna have to say no, only because I think the live action elements are probably the weakest.
Yeah, I mean, this is one that I'm also saying no to, because while I think it is a good movie, and Bill Murray as Baloo is genius, but once again, this is I've got the same complaint like the live action part of this, and I hate to say this, but
You guys don't like children. That's
My
okay.
apologies to this child. Like, I haven't seen him in anything else since, and I really hope he does get more work, because that was like a monumental task for him to undertake. But yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not like Disney would have sent him out into the wilderness just to hang out with real live animals. So, but anyway, before we sort of get into really weird territories, it doesn't make the list. Jen, what is your next nomination?
Oh man, we just talked about the jungle. I'm going to bring it to another jungle film. I'm going to put up George of the Jungle. Brendan Fraser, justice for Brendan Fraser. This is a fantastic performance. It's super fun. It's funny. I think it was my introduction to both Leslie Mann and Thomas Hayden Church, and they're all both hysterical in this film. And yeah, it's just a really tight comedy, 90s, a little risque if you go back and watch it nowadays. But yeah, it's really fun, and it went from a really stupid, very tiny cartoon to an actual like plot film with emotion to it. So I do really enjoy this movie, George of the Jungle.
Dylan, what do you say about George of the Jungle?
Yeah, I think this is a similar argument to what you were saying earlier, Malcolm, with one of the other movies, is that I think I may have seen it when I was younger, but like I don't remember it enough to like say yes to it. So I think it's one of those ones that I have to rewatch, but I remember enjoying it if I did see it or scenes from it. But yeah, I'll have to say no.
And it was meta before meta was cool. I'm just gonna point that out. It's like Deadpool level meta.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love George of the Jungle. This is an easy yes for me. Like I actually rewatched this a few weeks, probably a lot longer than a few weeks ago now. But I've rewatched it this year. I know that much. I love this movie. Like Brendan Fraser is great. John Cleese is great in this. And yeah. So Jacob, it's on you. Does George of the Jungle make it?
I completely forgot about George of the Jungle until 2 minutes ago. But yes, no, this movie is fantastic. Thank you for reminding me about this movie.
I think it is on Disney Plus. You can go watch it.
I will probably rewatch it when we are done, and just solidify the yes that I'm going to give it right now.
And George of the Jungle does make this list. And Dylan, we go to you for your next nomination.
Yeah, I know these live action animation live action remakes have not gone over too well with all of us, but I'm gonna throw one out there that I think, well, it's not really an animation to live action remake. It's more of a live action animation hybrid to live action remake. David Lowery is back in theaters this weekend with The Green Knight, one of my favorite directors, and he also directed a film that I really like, which is Pete's Dragon from 2016. I just thought it was a really nice way to adapt the story, make it feel fresh and not a shot-for-shot remake of the other one. I think the visuals are great. I think the actual dragon design is beautiful. I think the kid gives a better performance here than the one in Jungle Book. I just really, really remember really liking this film and really crying a lot in the theater. It made me very emotional. The themes about family in there. So Pete's Dragon is the live-action remake I'm going to champion for today.
I see what you're doing. You try and make me say yes to a movie that was filmed in New Zealand. Does you think I can't say no? Look, I like Pete's Dragon. I do think it's a fun movie. This is one of those ones I went into without really seeing the original. But I'm gonna have to say no. I'm just not that much of a fan of this this movie in general. The acting performances are great in it, but there really isn't enough for me to enjoy in this. If that makes any sense. Jacob, what do you say about Pete's Dragon from 2016?
I think I watched like half of this and I just wasn't feeling it. And so I turned it off. So probably no.
Jen, what would you have said about Pete's Dragon?
Yeah, unfortunately, it would be a no for me, but I have watched this obviously, and I did enjoy it. I think it is one of the better live action remakes that they've done. However, the bar was very low for this one because if you go back and watch Pete's Dragon, there's no way they could have done a shot for shot remake because it is like really problematic. But yeah, so I do appreciate that they brought a story that was a lot more easier to connect to. And there are some really good actors in this film as well. So yeah, I probably need to go back and revisit because I have seen it's kind of got a resurgence amongst the fans and like it's standing now that we've got so many live action movies. But yeah, it still would be a no for me, unfortunately.
Yeah. But with that, it's back to me. I'm going to move away from live action remakes and move into a movie that's similar to the one that we're doing this for, a movie based on a theme park ride. I'm going for Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. I mean, well, yes, it was on the original list, but it's still a great movie regardless. And there's not much more I can say about this, but it's just Orlando Bloom, Johnny Depp is great. I really hope we don't get another one because it kind of had a very big. It kind of had a very big decline since then. Although the two sequels are good, but Uncharted Tries wasn't that great. But Jacob, what do you say about Curse of the Black Pearl?
I think if one Pirates movie is going to make the list, it's going to be this one. I really do enjoy this one. I think it's the best of the series. Although, like you said, the bar is not very high for that. But I like the performances. It's a nice action adventure movie, and it might be my Johnny Depp bias because he is my favorite actor. But regardless, I'm going to say yes.
Jen, what do you say about Curse of the Black Pearl?
Yeah, like this franchise, unfortunately, it has been its own worst enemy. But even so, you can't take away the amazingness that is the first film. Like at the time, it was huge that Disney decided like we're going to put a lot of money behind this action adventure film. They hadn't done that in a really long time, and to come out and just nail it. And that score, the score alone is worth like being on the list. It's fantastic, and it gave us Keira Knightley. So yeah, she's only 18 in that movie. That's insane. Like, yeah.
And Dylan, what do you say about Curse of the Black Pearl?
Yeah, it's a big yes for me. I love this movie. I actually really like just that whole first trilogy. I know some people don't like the second and third movies, but I love the spectacle. I love just the visual lens that Gore Verbinski brings to that movie. It's just so much fun. It gave us some great stars and brought back some other great stars and made them even bigger stars. So I'm a big fan of this. A fan of the ride, fan of the movie. So it's a big yes for me.
Here's a fun little, if you go back and watch Dead Man's Chest, look at it as being a Empire Strikes Back knockoff. Enjoy. It really is the same thing. I'll go into it further if people want DM me later. But yeah, it is the same thing.
Oh, I actually definitely agree with you. I do see what you're saying. But with that, go to Jacob. Jacob, what is your next movie you're going to bring up?
Looking at my list, and one that I want to bring up is Glory Road. I think this is a fantastic sports movie, but it's much more than just a sports movie. Just the true story aspect of the Texas Western basketball team, and just it like basketball is my favorite sport, so that might be a little biased, but like there's so much more to this movie than just basketball. And seeing this true story play out on the big screen, I enjoy this. Might be my favorite basketball movie ever. So I'm gonna pick Glory Road.
Jen, what do you say about Glory Road?
Unfortunately, I have not seen this one, but I know Disney is like, they always stick the landing when it comes to sports films. It's they have a great formula. It works. But unfortunately, I haven't seen it, so it's going to be a pass for me.
And Dylan, what do you say about Glory Road?
Yeah, I haven't seen it either. I feel bad, but yeah, I'm a huge basketball fan, so now
It's
I gotta
on my
pick it up.
list.
I was gonna say I'm making a really great watch list with this episode. I've got Brink on there. I've got this now. Like it's a good list. So I'm excited to watch all these movies later. But yeah, it's a no for me.
Yeah, and call it a clean sweep of not having seen it. I've not also not seen Glory Road. I'm sorry.
I was
a good night,
literally
guys.
going to watch it and I switched to Hardball, and that was a big mistake because that one I think is even more depressing. So, yeah.
But with that, we go over to Jen. Jen, what is your next nomination?
Well, to make up for not seeing one sports movie, I'm going to throw another one out there, which I think is one of Disney's best sports movies in terms of for the whole family, and that is Cool Runnings. I absolutely love this film. It is very light, but at the same time, they deal with a lot of important themes. And it's for the Olympics are going on right now, so it's a great Olympic film. I think it's one of the best Olympic films out there, honestly. And yeah, if you haven't seen it in a long time, like it still holds up. It's great. It's a fun time.
I know if Matt Kearns is watching, he'll probably still say it's the wrong sports movie. We all know what he wants. But Dylan, what do you say about Cool Runnings?
I'm gonna sound like a broken record player, but I've never seen this one either. So I know the watch list keeps building, but it's a no for me for that reason.
But yeah, this is a very cool movie.
Pun intended.
Yeah, totally. So this is an easy yes. So I think this is probably one of John Candy's last film appearances.
I think his very last one is Canadian Bacon, but it's up there. It's definitely one of his bigger roles that he.
Yeah. That's for sure.
And he hits the gravitas. Like he has some really dramatic moments when he has to confront the Olympic Committee. It's a big thing. It's a big deal. I love it.
Yeah. But it's an easy yes for me. So, but Jacob, it's on you. What do you say about Cool Runnings?
Well, you guys haven't seen Glory Road, so no, I can't do that. This is 100% yes. This movie is fantastic. There's everything about this. Yeah, like you said, great Olympic movie. John Candy gives another great performance, so 100% yes.
It's a great soundtrack too.
And Cool Runnings make the list. And some reason I completely forgot that John Turteltaub directed it, who also did National Treasure, which may come up later. But but Cool Runnings does make this list, and we go to Dylan.
This is the second Amy Adams musical I'm going to bring up today. I'm a huge fan of the Muppets, and it was hard for me to pick a Muppet movie that I liked more than the others, but I'm going with the one from 2011. It's the one that's freshest in my mind just because I watch it more than the others at this point. Amy Adams is great in it. Jason Segel's great in it. I love the different Muppet voice actors as always. They bring a real great meta nature to it as well, commenting on the Muppets as a franchise itself and how it's really kind of lost its luster and now how it's kind of regaining back the popularity. It's just a really, really delightful movie. Really great songs. It has an Oscar-winning song, Man or Muppet. So yeah, it's an Oscar winner. So I'm nominating the Muppets.
The Muppets 2011 is an easy yes for me. I mean, this is one of those ones like with this, I knew that like if it was in a certain range of my personal Disney live action list, I was probably going to say yes to it regardless. And I love the 2011 Muppets. I mean, it's not my favorite Muppets. That one might still come up later. But Muppets 2011 is great. And I always loved Jason Segel ever since he did How I Met Your Mother. But Jacob, what do you say about the Muppets 2011?
Yeah, like you, it's not my favorite Muppet movie, so I'm hoping the other one still comes up. But this one it's almost as good as that one, so I'm gonna say yes. I like Jason Segel is fantastic in this movie. Amy Adams. I haven't seen Enchanted, so I feel like I have to make it up to her by saying yes to this one.
Don't worry, she's more mad at the Academy than you, so it's okay.
But
Yeah,
Jen,
she's probably not thinking that I said no to Enchanted. So,
but Jen, what do you say about the Muppets 2011?
Yeah, no, I do love this film. I love the Muppets, but yeah, I would. It doesn't matter anymore. But I probably would have said no just because I view the Muppets as their own thing that Disney kind of bought. So it's not something that they really like built on their own, and that's the only reason I would say no to it. But it's already in, so I love the Muppets. It's fantastic. But no, it is very funny. But it also, I did not expect it to really hit me as hard as it did when I was in the theater, like when they have the Pictures in My Head song for Kermit and everything. That was a very beautiful moment, and just getting the Rainbow Connection at the end was just fantastic. So it's a great job to go back to a property that they kind of let die for a little while, and then they brought it back. So I'm very happy it made it back. It hasn't done much since, but hopefully we'll get a little bit more down the line.
Jen, what is your next nomination?
Oh man. Okay. I'm going to pick another weirdo one that this is really, for my age bracket, it apparently hit us very hard. But that would be Heavyweights. This film is like ridiculous and would never be made today, but I think it's one of Ben Stiller's most off the wall amazing performances, and I absolutely love it. But yeah, it's a very niche 90s kind of film, but it hits me hard. So yeah, Heavyweights.
Dylan, what do you say about Heavyweights?
I have not seen this one. I'm gonna keep the bandwagon going. Yeah, I have not seen this one, so the watch list continues to
grow. But yeah, I have seen it. Heavyweights. I actually watched it for the first time last year. This is a good movie. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna say no to it.
I think you need to watch it at a certain point in your life. Like, I think it really matters.
Yeah. This is one that I have heard a lot, like of people were having, but this is one that I knew was very beloved because it was from that era. But like, as a fellow fat person myself, I just was a big fan. Like, the performances were great. But yeah, it's really low down on my list. Jacob, what would you have said about Heavyweights?
I would have said yes. Ben Stiller was like the best villain of the 90s.
Pulse the monkey.
So, okay, maybe not the best villain, but he's up there. And so, no, I like the movie. I really enjoyed it. Even watching it back now just brings you back to the childhood, at least for me personally. So I would have said yes. It's actually on my list.
But with that, we go over to Dylan. Dylan, what is your next nomination?
Didn't I think I just did Muppets right before that, so I think it's back to you, Malcolm. Or I don't know. I think
we hopped out of order at some point, but yeah.
Sorry, going backwards.
Go up.
Yeah. Yeah, we did go randomly.
I just really wanted to shoot down Heavyweights fast. That's what happened. I get it.
For some reason, I thought Jacob brought up Muppets, which is why. So I'm going to go backwards. To me, then I'm probably going to get back. But Jacob, what is your next nomination?
Oh, I wasn't ready. Wasn't my turn. I will. Let's see. All right, this movie I loved in my teenage years, which, I mean, what teenager didn't? And that's Freaky Friday, the Lindsay Lohan, Jamie Lee Curtis. The two of them just play so well together. I love this movie. I probably watched it so much as a teenager with my brothers, which is a weird movie to watch with your brothers, but we watched it together. And so, yeah, Freaky Friday.
I'm assuming you mean the 2003 one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought I'd check that. But yeah, Jen, what do you say about the 2003 version of Freaky Friday?
Yeah, like the body swap comedies, like it's a genre now. But I think this is the best iteration of it. Like, granted, it was a remake. Jodie Foster way back in the day was the original Freaky Friday. But yeah, like, this movie it's really, really fun, and like, especially for Lindsay Lohan, this was kind of one of her first things. She had Parent Trap too, which might come up later. But yeah, like, this kind of launched her. But at the same time, Jamie Lee Curtis, like, her acting in this, I was like, she nailed being a teenager. Like, she did a fantastic job, and I did not know I needed to see her shredding on guitar as much as I did. So yeah, it's a really fun movie. I love Freaky Friday.
And Dylan, what do you say about Freaky Friday 2003?
Yeah, this is a great movie. It's such a hard acting challenge for both of them to do, and they pull it off so well. I mean, Lindsay Lohan, as much as she is Lindsay Lohan, I think she's very underrated, just as an actress. Most people like to look at Lindsay Lohan and her like career and like the downfall, rather than what was really good, which was this movie, some other Disney movies, and then like Mean Girls. Like, she was really on a roll at that point in her career. So I definitely say yes to this one.
But yeah,
Get one on.
but yeah, I would have gave this a hesitant yes. I personally love the original 70s one with more, but this is one that, but even the remake is still great. The recent 2018 one is not good.
I've not seen it.
Didn't
I
bother
didn't know
me.
they remade it. Yeah.
Oh,
I think it was original movie kind of thing.
Yeah,
It
I
was on
think
the
this is.
channel.
I think the the newer one was a Disney Channel original movie.
So it's no Brink.
But yeah, there's one of those ones I actually didn't realize until I was actually watching the original one that Jodie Foster was in the original. So I mean,
Yeah. It was slightly more danger of the climax because it was a diving competition instead of music. So it's like she might drown. Like so it was interesting. So
but with that, we go back to me. Let's see. I'm going to try and get this on because one, I know Matt Kearns will murder me personally if this doesn't try to get on. It's Miracle. Good. This is a fun movie. Kurt Russell's in it. And yeah, it's interesting to see where this goes. It was talked about at length on the last one. I know that much. But Jacob, what do you say about Miracle?
Have not seen it yet.
Jen, what do you say about Miracle?
Matt's gonna be so mad at me. This is a great film. It is. I think it's one of Disney's best dramatic sports films. But there's another one. There's another sports hockey Disney film that I enjoy more. So I'm gonna say no.
I wonder what that could be.
Dylan, what do you say about Miracle?
I actually really, really love Miracle. It's one of my favorite sports films. I love Gavin O'Connor as a director. He also made Warrior, which is one of my favorite sports films as well. And The Way Back, which is another good sports film that just came out. So like, I'm a fan of his style. I love the movie. It's just so empowering. Kurt Russell's great. So it would have been a yes for me.
Yeah, and actually, knowing Matt, I don't think he'll be too upset about the other ice hockey one as well. So,
If it
so I know
gets
he loves
there.
that. Well, we'll find out. But with that being said, let's get the order back on track. Jacob, what's your next nomination?
All right. Well, I know it made the list last time, but I think it's so good that it deserves to make the list again, and that's Remember the Titans. Denzel just gives such a great performance in this movie. Strong side, left side, the scene in the hospital. Like, there's just so much about this movie to love. And so I think it deserves to make the list again.
Jen, what do you say about Remember the Titans?
Oh, I do love this movie. It is very good, but yeah, just because it was on the list last time and there's so many other films that I want to try to get in there, I'm gonna say no, but I expect it to go through. So
Dylan, what do you say about Remember the Titans?
Yeah, I mean, like Jen said earlier, the formula of sports movies just really works with Disney. They do a really good job. This is just a prime example of it as well. So it's a yes for me. It's just a really solid sports film. Great performances all around. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I love sports movie. I love this movie. And I mean, we could probably do a top 12 list of Disney live-action sports movies alone. But there's a few others that I really want on this list. I'm going to have to say no to Remember the Titans as well.
We
But I
forgot the
want to be
Titans.
known. We remembered the Titans. But with that being said, we're going to move over to Dylan. Dylan, what is your next nomination?
My next nomination. Wait, wasn't Jacob?
I
wasn't that
can't
his-
hear.
Oh, Jacob just did that one.
Yeah, so I think it's on Jen now.
So it's me.
Jen.
Great, I'm not ready. Oh
Yeah.
God, what I want. Screw it. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna throw out one that Disney had for a comic book film before they had Marvel, and that is The Rocketeer. I think this film kind of gets overlooked a lot. It is a fantastic adaptation of a comic that people don't realize is a comic, but it's one of those situations of it's a just all around a great adventure film. But at the same time, it has a very distinct style, and it has some really great actors in there that before their time: Jennifer Connelly, Ellen Arkin with hair, which is really weird to see, and Timothy Dalton in one of my favorite villains like of all time. Like it's just a really suave, cool villain. So yeah, The Rocketeer, punch a Nazi.
Dylan, what do you say about The Rocketeer?
Yeah, it's been a while since I've seen this, but I remember really liking it when I saw it. There's another like kind of superhero-y movie that I hope we get to talk about later that I probably would have put before this, but if we have to put one that's like action and superhero comic book, I'm very happy to say yes to this.
Yeah, this is one that I did watch for the first time last year as well. Look, this is one that I might have enjoyed it more had I watched it growing up. But I'm going to say no, and PJ Campbell's going to be upset if it doesn't make the list. But to Jacob, what do you say about The Rocketeer?
Well, he doesn't have to be upset because it's going to make the list. I'm going to say yes. For everything that's already been said, I'm not going to repeat anything. Like it's just everything they said about the movie is true. And I did watch it for the first time last year too, and I think I had just as much fun with it then as I would if I watched it as a child or a teenager. So, but that's probably because I'm a child at heart. So,
Aren't we all?
I mean, we are talking about Disney.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. This time, it's your turn.
Now it's my turn. I'm actually going to bring up the other action movie I was just talking about, and that is Sky High. It's a really fun nostalgia movie for me. I saw it when I was a kid in theaters, and I've just loved revisiting it. Just the cast is so good. Kurt Russell again. You have Mary Elizabeth Winstead. That was my first introduction to her. I believe it was a lot of people's. And she's just become a bigger star too. But I just love the cast. I love the uniqueness of each different person. It's like Disney's take on almost like an X-Men type thing, but it does feel unique and original in its own. So and Bruce Campbell's great as the bus driver. So yeah, really
Gym
fun.
teacher. Gym teacher.
That's right. He's not the bus driver. He's the gym teacher. Right.
Sonic Boom.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun. So it's a great movie.
Matt, I hope you forgive us for not putting Miracle on because Kurt Russell making the list regardless. Sky High is the absolute yes for me. Look, this is one that I've watched so many times. I love this movie. Like, just even with the cast, and there's like you wouldn't fit like you completely like. If you had told someone Mary Elizabeth Winstead was in a really early movie with Kurt Russell as superheroes, I don't think anyone would believe you. But this is a fun movie, and yeah, I've said a lot about this a lot. So yeah, Jacob, what would you have said about Sky High?
I remember watching the trailer for this and thinking, that looks okay. And then I watched the movie. And it was better than okay. Like, I absolutely loved this movie. I still love it. So it's a yes for me.
And with that, it is on me to nominate another movie. And I'm going to go for another movie filmed in New Zealand. This was on the list last time. It is Narnia: Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe. James McAvoy, Jim Broadbent, like this is just a stacked cast all through, but this is a really great adaptation of the book, and it's like as someone who actually read the book before this because I was forced to read this at school. I mean, forced chose, same thing really. But regardless, this is a great movie, and yeah, I think it does deserve to be on this list. Jacob, what do you say about Lion Witch in the Wardrobe?
This is another one when I was making my list earlier. This is one of the first ones I wrote down. I absolutely love this movie. James McAvoy as Mr. Tumnus, fantastic. The kids, Aslan with Liam Neeson, great voice performance. I don't think anyone else could have voiced Aslan quite as good as he did. And yeah, just fun fantasy elements, action, and yeah, And I also played Edmund in a school play version of this, so
Which is the best kid.
yeah, that has nothing to do with my decision. It's just a fun fact I wanted to point out. So yes.
Jen, what do you say about Lion Witch in the Wardrobe?
Definitely yes. This is a fantastic film. Basically Disney saw the Lord of the Rings and like, we can do that. We can forget something else here. But yeah, like I applaud them for putting that much money behind this because the production design alone is like gorgeous. So yeah, that's New Zealand for you essentially. But yeah, it was my introduction to both James McAvoy and Tilda Swinton, and they've done nothing but kill it since. So yeah, like it hits perfectly on like every note of like if you've been familiar with the books before, it all looks exactly as how I pictured it, honestly. And if you hadn't read it, then it's like, oh, maybe I'll go and read the series. And then you find out that there's a lot of weird stuff in the series. So yeah, it's a fantastic adventure film and it's good for kids, but also like there's an edge to it. Like that final battle sequence, it does not hold back. It's pretty brutal. So yeah, it's a really fun film. I don't really care for the other two quite as much, but that first one, great.
Yeah. And Dylan, what would you say about Narnia, Lion Witch in the Wardrobe?
Yeah, I love this movie. This is one of my favorites growing up. It's just such a beautiful looking film, as we've already touched on. It just looks gorgeous. The acting's really great. And it's a good adaptation. They, like you said, they hit every part of the book really well. I mean, it feels like a very good representation of the original source material. I wish the other two movies were as good as this one. But yeah, like Pirates of the Caribbean, the first is always going to be the top. And it went downhill from there, but this is still a really, really great film. So it would have been a yes for me, but
we've got 2 spots left. We've actually zoomed through this. But with that being said, Jacob, it is on you.
All right. Well, with that many spots left, I gotta pick carefully now.
Serious though.
This is one I think it's gained a bigger fan base recently than it did when it initially came out, and that is Newsies. I'm gonna go with Newsies. Christian Bale in the performance, I didn't know Christian Bale could do because my first introduction to him was actually Batman because as a kid / young teen, I didn't really care about movies as much as I do now, and then so I was like, Batman was in a musical.
They made him dance too.
And that was the reason I watched the movie. And then I watched it and I loved it. It's probably one of my favorite musicals now. It's just I think everything about this movie is really good. So I'm gonna put Newsies up.
Jen, what do you say about Newsies?
That was literally the next thing I was going to put up. I absolutely love Newsies. It is fantastic. It is one of my favorite musicals. It's one of my favorite Alan Menken scores that he ever did. Like, it's phenomenal. And it's just one of those great kid, because they're kind of teens, but I'll still call it a kid cast because just they have that really great camaraderie of all these different characters that you don't have a lot of time to go into them, but they all have very distinct personalities and they all get a moment to shine. And it's just some of the best dance numbers of that time, honestly, because that was in an era where they weren't really doing a lot of musicals. If they were, they weren't doing these big chorus numbers and everything. So it was really cool to see as a dancer myself. So yeah, Newsies, and it's great on Broadway too. Like, it's fantastic. So
And Dylan, what do you say about Newsies?
Yeah, I really like Newsies. I'm a huge like musical theater buff. I majored in musical theater in college. Like I loved the movie, and then when they announced that they were doing the musical, I was like ecstatic about that too. I mean, it was one of those movies that like I saw myself in as a kid. Like I danced along. I pretended I was a little newsboy with a little hat, dancing and singing along with the TV. So, yeah, this is a big yes for me. I'm a big fan of Newsies.
Yeah, this was definitely going to be yes for me as well. There's a reason I snuck Kevin Smith into the thumbnail. He was in this, and I think just looking at the cast, I think the only two actors that would have been relatively known at this time was Bill Pullman and Robert Duvall. All the Christian Bale wasn't as known as he is now, and like there really isn't a lot that I've.
Yeah, I think
of
he'd only
I
done
know.
Empire of the Sun when he was like a little bitty baby, essentially.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But yeah, Newsies makes this list, and Jen, we moved over to you.
Oh man, that was what I was gonna do. So I'll put up what I was talking about earlier when I killed Miracle, and I know it's hard to pick because there's multiple hockey movies out there, but for me, my personal favorite is D2, The Mighty Ducks. I do love The Mighty Ducks, but D2 I think is when it really hit its stride in terms of the fun because there's just add a couple more characters that really round out the entire group. The first one, like I went back when Game Changers came out, I went back and watched all three. And yeah, the first one's a little bit darker than I remembered. But D2, it holds up very, very well. And technically it's kind of an Olympic film. They kind of like call it something else, but it's essentially an Olympic film. But yeah, it's really fun. And like, it has a really good dynamic between Bombay and the kids and everything. And it's got Kenan Thompson with the knuckle pucks. So yeah, I absolutely love this film.
Dylan, what do you say about D2, The Mighty Ducks?
Yeah, I really like the Mighty Ducks movies. I don't know what I would pick as probably my favorite, but yeah, they're still being made today. I mean, there's a series now out on Disney Plus. It's obviously had a really great cultural impact. I actually didn't put it on my list only because there are other sports films, Disney sports movies I put above it, like Miracle and Remember the Titans. But it's a great movie, so it's a no from me only because this is the last spot. But you know, I am still a fan of it.
But yeah, look, I'm on record as not being a big fan of this trilogy.
You're in trouble.
I mean, I'm already in trouble with Matt. He knows he knows my take on this trilogy. So, I mean, if it was the first one, I might have said yes, but I do have to say no. So, Jacob, what would you have said about D2, The Mighty Ducks?
I think I'm in the same boat as you. I like the trilogy, but I think the first one is my favorite. And so, had the first one been the one we were talking about, I probably would have said yes.
But Iceland is such a good villain.
And it's just been years since I've seen it that I revisit the first one a lot, but for whatever reason, I just don't visit the other two quite as often.
But Dylan, we go to you for your next nomination.
I think this is a purely nostalgic pick. But I threw a Halloween film out there earlier, so I'll throw a Christmas film out here now. I'm a big fan of the Santa Claus. I know it hasn't held up as good for me as it did when I was a kid, but I still find it really fun. I think Tim Allen's really good. It's just a Christmas film that I think because it's rooted in my nostalgia, it's always in the rotation, playing every year for Christmas. So I had to throw it out there. It might not go through, but I'm a fan of it, and I wanted to give it a little shout out. So the Santa Claus is my next pick.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the Santa Claus, and I'm actually going to say see how this goes. It may be trouble is I'm going next anyway. So, but Jacob, what do you say about the Santa Claus?
Just like Hocus Pocus is on constant rewatch at Halloween time, the Santa Claus is also on rewatch at Christmas time. I love this movie. 100% yes. Like, brings me back to my childhood. Tim Allen gives a great performance. He's probably my favorite Santa Claus. And so, yeah, I'm going to give it a yes.
For a second, I thought you were about to say the Santa Claus is on rotation at Halloween time as well.
I mean, they like to go
Okay.
ahead of schedule, honestly, in their broadcasts. So potentially, yes.
November 1st.
But Jen, what would you have said about the Santa Claus?
It would be a yes for me as well. Like this is a fantastic Christmas movie. The other two are terrible, but that does not that doesn't take anything away from the first one. And yeah, it's really fun. I think it is one of Tim Allen's more human roles, where he actually does get to like really have a nice connection with the child who I don't think really did anything else other than this franchise, which is just a shame because he did a really good job. I don't hate all kids. It's just that one kid. But yeah, like I love this film. And just for the moment when Judge Reinhold finally gets his weenie whistle, that is a magical Christmas moment. It makes me tear up. It's great. So yeah, Santa Claus.
But that has brought us to the end. Just to recap what we've got on this list: Hocus Pocus, Mary Poppins, George of the Jungle, Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, Cool Runnings, Muppets 2011, The Rocketeer, Sky High, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, and the Santa Claus. And Freaky. Six. Oh, I forgot to put Freaky Friday on. Yeah, no, I was looking at the private chats. Like,
I was like, do we have another hole? Can we do another?
I had it written. I had it written on my bit of paper. I forgot to put it in the private chat. That's Freaky Friday. Is also there.
What to say? Don't take away my other choice that made it.
But yeah, with that being said, Jacob, do you have any honorable mentions?
Yeah, two that I was gonna try to bring up, but once the live action started getting shot down, I just decided not to.
My apologies.
Yeah, I really enjoy Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast. The Lion King, not as much. I knew it would have said no, but Blank Check is just a really fun nostalgia pick. What else? Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Into the Woods, I really enjoy. And then the last one, Saving Mr. Banks.
Jen, what honorable mentions did you have?
Yeah, I think I have a lot, obviously, but I think they were mentioned on the list before, so I didn't feel so bad leaving them off. But Three Musketeers is like one of my favorites. I absolutely love that. I like swashbuckling films, and that's a big one. National Treasure, just the same thing. Princess Diaries, Happy Anniversary, 20 years. Jesus, I'm old. I'm a big fan of The Finest Hours. I think that film got overlooked, and it might have to do with the fact that like my family has a house in the town that it's based in and everything, and it's wicked ad. But yeah, it's a great film if you haven't seen it. But yeah, like some classic ones, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. If you haven't actually watched that one, it's really cool. So yeah, go check that out. And Flight of the Navigator, another old one that's a really fun sci-fi kid kind of thing. Yeah, we mentioned Black Hole, another really cool older one. And then some really weird 90s nostalgia ones like Angels in the Outfield and Three Ninjas, because I am a 90s child.
For me, like I also had for me, just for Disney live actions, for me, I actually had Dumbo. I really do enjoy the what they did with Dumbo. The Muppets Christmas Carol. I actually don't hate the BFG by Steven Spielberg. I think it's a good movie. As someone who actually did enjoy the kids, Earbud is another one.
Ain't nothing in the rule book that says a dog can't play ball. Yeah.
That's the greatest loophole in any sports movie. And the last one I'm going to mention is one I actually watched for the first time. Bridge to Biffy is a great movie. But
gut punch at the end.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean I did not expect that.
I don't think anyone did at any point. If you read the book or if you watched the movie first, no one expected that coming. So yeah.
But with that, we get to the fun part of voting.
Did we skip
Did
Dylan?
Dylan do honorable?
Oh,
I know we listed a lot, but I'm sure there's
a
more.
lot of mine. Yeah, I was gonna say the only ones that weren't brought up. The Game Plan with The Rock. It's a nostalgic pick for me. I really like it. And then Saving Mr. Banks, which was brought up. So those were like the other two that were on my list.
Oh, and shout out to Flubber for Robin Williams. Rest in peace. There you go.
But some that we have in the chat, Brian said Pirates 2, The Country Bears, Homeward
Ooh,
Bound 2,
Country Bears. That is an interesting choice.
and Huck Finn.
Which one?
Oh, and one more the computer who wore tennis shoes. Just watched
yeah.
that. I actually really enjoyed that. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would.
That being said, Jacob, what do you have for 12?
George of the Jungle.
Jen, what do you have for 12?
I didn't write it down, but I will go with. You know what? I'm gonna say Sky High because it was on the list before, but it is a great film.
Dylan, what do you have for 12?
Only because I haven't seen it in a long time, I also went George of the Jungle.
And I went The Rocketeer, but George of the Jungle was going to be 12.
This is actually like the toughest
I know, right?
decisions.
Like I don't know what I want to win, so it's like becoming a problem.
And Jen, what do you have for 11?
I'll keep going with Sky High.
Dylan.
I went Cool Runnings.
Jacob.
I went The Rocketeer this time.
I also went The Rocketeer. Dylan, what do you have for 10?
Yeah, I'll stick with Cool Runnings.
Jacob.
I'm gonna go Sky High this time.
Jen.
Stayed with it. There you go.
I had Freaky Friday.
How dare you?
I mean, I can say the same for you putting Sky High this low, but Dylan, what do you have for 9?
I actually shifted to Newsies.
I've still got Freaky Friday. Jacob.
Again, how dare you? I went to Santa Claus.
And Jen.
Freaky Friday.
How dare you?
I'm getting to the point where I feel bad every time I write something down now. So.
But Jen, what do you have for 8?
My apologies to Kermit. I said the Muppets.
Dylan.
I went Cool Runnings.
I went The Santa Claus. Jacob.
I didn't even have to change anything. I just kept the Santa Claus.
Yeah, that's Jen, what do you have for 7?
Every time I flip this, a little part of me dies. It's the Muppets again.
Dylan.
It's Cool Runnings again.
Jacob.
I went Muppets this time.
I read
Split?
Cool Runnings.
Oh, what do we do?
We're gonna go to the chat. So Cool Runnings or the Muppets.
Muppets.
Disney didn't make it. They just bought it.
But if I don't hear anything in a little bit,
Jen,
then
go
I'll,
to the chat.
then I'll probably
I
will
gotta
go
get my
for the-
burner account. 1 second.
I mean, it's but
They're just mad at us. That's what it is.
They can't
that's probably
choose.
what it is.
I mean, I put up Cool Runnings, so I'm not changing my vote.
I'm not. For some reason, I thought I had a reel on here, but I actually don't at the moment. I must have taken it off for some reason. So it's just going to be a second before I get it up. So whoever's in the chat's got a little bit of time.
Do it for John Candy. Come on.
Come on, install on my install phone. This is riveting content as I make a reel. Determine what
This is how we get to 3 hours. Yeah, this is how we'll beat the last time.
Let's talk about how we were wrong putting Freaky Friday so low.
It's made me want to go back and watch it again, honestly. So there's that.
I mean, like for me, as I said earlier, I like the original one that little bit more.
Yeah. When she has that speech at the end, it's so beautiful.
Yes, I need to go watch that one. I haven't seen it, so
I really just remember the climax that it didn't stick with me as much.
is that you, Peter?
And
In the meantime, I'm surprised nobody brought up Holes, just considering our age bracket. I know that's like a really big one for a lot of people.
I mean, Holes is one that I didn't get into. I mean,
You didn't like the song?
I mean, it made the list last time, but that's partly because we had Cameron Holzman on, and he's a
There you
big
go.
fan of it.
Yeah, I know there's like super fans out there, so
It is peak
There you
Shia
go.
LaBeouf.
yeah. I can't even see where it is.
The
The Muppets
Muppets.
311. Can't remember the last time I actually had to do a poll to determine a placement for this. Because quite often there's always someone in the chat that will have said something earlier, but never mind. But just to make sure don't lose track of what's actually already on this list. So, Alright, just to recap what's still there on the full list, we've got Newsies, Cool Runnings, Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, Mary Poppins, Hocus Pocus, and Lion Witch in the Wardrobe. Jacob, what do you have for 6?
I'm gonna go with Narnia.
Jen.
I also went with Narnia.
Did
it happen again?
I'll switch I'll go to Newsies now. Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Instead of causing another tiebreaker.
Well, it would have been a lot quicker this time.
Now he has the wheel.
Yeah.
You played yourself. All right. Oh.
Honestly, I can't remember why I deleted it because I used that for Full Metal Classics. So
This is legitimately hard now. Okay. God.
Top 3 are going to be tough. Well, 2 and 3 more specifically.
But Jen, what do you have for 5?
I'll throw you guys a bone now. Cool Runnings. There you go.
Dylan.
Cool Runnings.
Cool Runnings. Jacob.
Clean sweep. Cool run.
Hey!
we go.
See, that's clearly where that belongs. Smack dab in the middle. There you go.
Oh, I just put one less N in there.
Cool Runnings.
It's a sequel.
Sounds like a good horror movie.
Completely different movie.
Dylan, what do you have for 4?
I have Newsies.
Jacob.
I have Hocus Pocus.
Jen.
Bette Midler's gonna hex me. Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus. Alright, Jacob, what do you have for 3?
I didn't want to write the whole title, so I just wrote Pirates.
Doesn't count then.
Jen.
The equivalent of a hanging Chad. Fun fact, I played Spot Conlon in high school one time, so it hurts me, but Newsies.
Dylan.
Yeah, Newsies.
Newsies.
Hey, top 3, I'll take it.
And now, instead of going for number 2, we're going to go straight to number 1, which is between Mary Poppins and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Could they be any different? Like,
I don't know. I could imagine Jack Sparrow going into an animated painting singing Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
I could see Johnny Depp doing that.
I've changed my mind 3 times. I don't know what I want.
Come on, give us a Mary Poppins Pirates of the Caribbean crossover.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if they make another film, they could pop into like some DVD or something because they pop it into enough books and chalk drawings. So,
Yeah. But Jen, what do you have for number 1?
I can't go against the power of Julie Andrews. So, Mary Poppins. There you go.
Dylan.
I went Pirates.
I went Mary Poppins. Jacob.
I went Mary Poppins.
I mean, it just shows how great of a movie it is if making the list like both times we've done this.
It's just one big warm hug of a movie. So, like, yeah, it's hard not to go for that.
It's in my top 25 of all time, so
Yeah.
But just to recap the list that we have, at 12 we've got George of the Jungle, at 11 we've got The Rocketeer, at 10 we've got Sky High, at 9 we've got Freaky Friday, at 8 that we got The Santa Claus, at 7 after a long wait we've got The Muppets 2011, at 6 we got Narnia Headline Witch in the Wardrobe, at 5 we got Cool Runnings, at 4 we got Hocus Pocus, at 3 we got Newsies, at 2 we got Pirates of the Caribbean Curse of Black Pearl, and number 1 we got Mary Poppins.
The power of that top 5 is just
Good
astounding.
list, yeah.
And just to show how different it is to what we had last time, that we'll bring this up again. We had Mary Poppins, Remember the Times, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of Black Pearl, Miracle, Narnia, National Treasure, Saving Mr. Banks, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Holes, Sky High, Three Musketeers, and Princess Diaries. Quite a very different list.
I didn't realize Mary Poppins won both times. That's hilarious.
That's how good that movie is.
Yeah.
But with that being said, we've brought to the end. I'll have a poll up in just a bit with your topics for next week. Spoiler alert: they will all be DC related because of the Suicide Squad.
The what?
But Jacob, where can people find you online?
It'll be the worst quotes from the Suicide Squad. There you go.
You can find me online, Facebook, Jacob Barber. That's my name. Over at Nerd Entertainment Network, I do a lot over there. And if you're a wrestling fan, I do trivia over at Combat Wrestling Trivia. So you can find me at those places if you want.
Jen, where can people find you online?
You can find me, Jen Kemp, at JK Meme Queen on Twitter and Letterboxd, even though I don't update it anymore. Is it a strategy or is it me being lazy? Who knows? But yeah, and you can find me in the Schmodown. I had a lot of matches recently. If you haven't seen, the singles tournament just kicked off yesterday, and I was in the first match versus Josh Horowitz. So it was a really fun match. I won't say what happens, but it's really cool to watch.
Dylan, where can people find you online?
You can find me at my channel, the Dill Pickle Movie Network, doing reviews. I have a Marvel podcast every Monday. It's a lot of fun. And also on Letterboxd, if you search my name, I'm there.
And with that, you can find me on Tape 3 Productions. I host Rankum every Saturday, late night Tape 3 every Sunday. And we're talking adventure movies tomorrow. You can also find me over on Formula. I host Formula Classic on Sundays, as well as Formula Random. And this week's topic is going to be all about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But with that being said, we've reached the end, and keep listening, shit.